The worst thing you can do, man, is lower your expectations. And you do that because you get lost in the process. It's the figuring out. It's the figuring out during the process, man, that just jacks you up. Because as you're trying to figure it out, you say, man, this is taking too long. It's not coming together for me. I guess I'm just not meant to be. And when you do think that you have it figured out, you realize, dude, it's all wrong. And you get frustrated. And you get lost in the process. And you either lower your expectations or you lose your expectations altogether. And so let's roll out with episode 511. And one other thing, man, do me a favor. Let's get these thumbs to work, man. If you would, I need these thumbs to go at it. This is your exercise for today. This is your mission, man. I need you to share today's episode, man, with someone who really needs it. Someone needs this message just like you. Also need you to rate and review the show. If you're listening to it on the podcast, and if you're watching it, man, leave the comments, because when you leave comments, it shows other people, it intrigues them. And so if you can leave a comment of the value that it brings to you, then it'll resonate maybe with someone else that they can tune in also. So put those thumbs to work. So rolling out with episode 511, and I was cleaning out my inbox yesterday, and I came across one of my favorite writers, Benjamin Hardy. He's the author of one of my favorite books. I know I have a lot of them, but which is Willpower Doesn't Work. And I clicked on it, man. I said, well, let me just click on it just to see, because you know how you store up a bunch of articles and you say, yeah, I'm gonna get around to that. Well, I was just flying through them, man. I was like, let me see if something sticks. And so I came across one of the ones that he wrote about Kobe Bryant's psychological keys to his success. And one of them was his refractory period. And the refractory period is the amount of time it takes to emotionally recover and move on from an experience. So your refractory period for you, man, when somebody tells you off, a customer blows up in your face or says something rude to you, or another salesperson, or someone cuts you off, what's your refractory period? Some people's refractory period, dude, is probably years, man. I mean, someone will cut them off and they can't get over it for the rest of the day. And so one of the keys to your success is being able to close the gap of that refractory period. One of the psychological keys for Kobe Bryant's success, and the legend that he is today, man, was his refractory period. He didn't suffer from short-term memory loss. He chose short-term memory loss, because athletes are trained, man, they got to go on to the next shot. Some athletes better than others. And so Kobe Bryant had the ability he expected every shot to go in, yet when it didn't, he didn't get lost in the process. Even if he missed the game-winning shot, even if whatever, didn't go in, should have been a foul, whatever, he's able to move on to the next shot. He's able to move on to get back on defense. And so Hardy writes, and it was something, dude, that just really stuck to me. It was a quote from Kerry Campbell. And the key to having a short-term or short memory to close that refractory period is expect everything and attach to nothing. And I was like, whoa, expect everything, yet attach to nothing. See, Kobe expected every shot to go in, but he attached to none of them. Because, see, he didn't get lost in the process. Because many times, bro, you're going to find in your process, even though you have great intentions of, man, I'm committed to this goal, your process from time to time, bro, is going to rake you across the coals. It's going to wax the floor with you. As a matter of fact, your process at times is going to take your lumber of commitment. It's going to feed you to the sawmill, bro. It's going to try to turn you to dust. The worst thing you can do, man, is lower your expectations. And you do that because you get lost in the process. It's the figuring out. It's the figuring out during the process, man, that just jacks you up. Because as you're trying to figure it out, you say, man, this is taking too long. It's not coming together for me. I guess I'm just not meant to be. And when you do think that you have it figured out, you realize, dude, it's all wrong. And you get frustrated. And you get lost in the process. And you either lower your expectations or you lose your expectations altogether. And you shrug it off and you say, oh well. Expect everything and attach to nothing. Bro, that keeps you in the game. That's psychological warfare right there. And so when you're in that drought, man, when you're really struggling, when you're frustrated, when it seems like, oh my God, expect everything. Attach to nothing. This is a constant reminder, dude, I got to tell myself. And I've said it in different ways. I've said it, to salespeople before, and they say, Marsh, man, you blast us, man, when a customer is just, they're shopping, they're not ready to do anything, and you come in there and not every customer is going to buy. And I said, I realize that. I have to pull them aside. I said, bro, look, I realize that. But keep in mind, we expect every customer to buy. Every customer who calls us, every customer who submits a lead, every customer who walks in that door, we expect every one of them to buy. Yet we know they won't. But I have to keep that expectation level high. Otherwise, we just accept anything. When I work with a customer, I expect every customer to buy from me. Yet I have to fight to attach to nothing. So if they don't buy from me, did I do everything I possibly could during the process? If I didn't, I learn from it. There are times I miss it. There are times where, you know what, you should have said this. You should have tried this angle. You got emotionally wrapped up. You got wrapped up in the process. But I got to attach to nothing. Because if a customer doesn't buy from me, it doesn't mean it's the end of my career. It doesn't mean this is the rest of my month. It doesn't mean, or it's indicative of the rest of my month. It doesn't mean any of that. It has nothing to do, I attach to nothing. It has nothing to do with my self-worth. And so often, dude, we attach our self-worth to the customer saying yes. But no matter what, I never lower my expectations. And this is constant, bro. This is constant. I battle with that all the time. Maybe I should adjust it. Maybe this just isn't meant to be. Maybe this, whatever, man. I mean, the dialogue goes on and on, right? Never lower your expectations. Never lose sight of the ultimate goal. And never get lost in the process, man. See, the process feeds the expectations. I don't lower the expectations. The process just feeds the expectations, not the results. See, if I feed the results into the expectations, then it's a plus or minus, right? So this customer bought, well, okay, it feeds into the lofty expectations. But what happens when a customer doesn't buy? What happens when that phone call didn't work? What happens when that loan didn't come through? That workout didn't work out? What happens then? What happens if it's a 0? What happens if it's a -1? The customer I sold to yesterday, that I shelved my whole day with yesterday, they didn't buy. Or they bought, and now they're bringing it back today. How do I feed a -1 into my expectations? If you feed a 0 or a negative number, what are you going to do? You're going to flatline the expectation. You're going to subtract from the expectations. I feed the process into the expectations. And the process is full of wins and losses, man. Maybe, and this is what you got to keep in mind, man. Maybe there are times where your expectations, you underestimated the time it was going to take. You underestimated your skill level. You underestimated that it's actually harder than what you anticipated. But you adjust the process. I don't lower the expectations. And most people, that's what they do, bro. I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. I didn't realize it was going to take this long. I didn't realize it was going to be this expensive. And so they lower the expectation. Or even worse, they release the expectations. Poof, gone. See, you got to keep in mind, man, the process. What is a process? The process is continuous. The process is never one and done. It's not 7 days. For the next 7 days, I'm going to do this. No, the process is something that's continuous. And so what it is it's continuous action. Continuous action. Not continuous theory, not continuous thinking about it, continuous action. And it's a series of changes. It's the adjustment to the formula. It's not a recipe. It's a formula. And sometimes, dude, you have to adjust the formula. See, a recipe is step by step by step. You follow Grandma's biscuits recipe. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's got to be these exact measurements. The formula doesn't have exact measurements. It's a trial and error. It's the process, man, of continuous changing in a definite manner. See, it's continuous changing in a definite manner. You know what the definite manner is? The ultimate goal. The ultimate goal. And see, the series of changes are additions and subtractions and steps in your process. You may have to adjust your technique. You may have to adjust your time. You may have to adjust your investment. You may have to adjust man, what's the word I'm looking for? You may have to adjust the ferocity. But I don't lower the expectations. I adjust the process. And I don't get lost in the process. So many times, bro, we get lost in the process. And so when you get lost in the process, you accept. And you accept, oh well. And you lost your expectations. You got to keep your memory short. And the fighting I do is to keep the memory short. You got to keep the refractory period low. So that way I can emotionally, even though this did not work, man, how fast can I bounce back? How fast can I go on to the next play? How fast can I not lower my expectations? But I'm not attached to nothing. Not attached to it. I don't get sucked into the vortex because my plan didn't work out. I have high expectations for the sales life. High expectations. But I don't attach to I don't attach to the numbers. I don't attach to how many viewers, how many shares, how many rates and reviews. They're great, but I can't attach to that because if I do, it determines my expectations. No, it's just part of the process. I have high expectations of what next month looks like, the end of this year, and the end of next year. Super high expectations. But I attach to nothing. I adjust the process. All right, let's roll with the TSL action item of today. What do you expect? What are your expectations? This is where you get all blushy, man. This is where you turn a little red. You don't have to tell nobody. Just tell yourself, what do I expect? What's it look like? Put the stake in the ground. What do you expect? and what is the process that you need to adjust. Don't lower the expectations.
Hey, thanks for watching. Obviously, if you got this far, dude, obviously you want more. So do not go anywhere. I've got another special episode queued up just for you right now.